Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery. It's a beautiful Tuesday morning. Today is November 18th, 2025. We get together most weekday mornings, talk about the grant, talk about how we can collaborate, how we can work together to help build stronger communities, one business at a time, by getting them funding to start or grow. So, with that being said, the screen's a bit busy, but it should be shared. And you should see on the left-hand side the very frequently viewed free funding proposal graphic. Each of you should have a copy of this for your use if you are one of our affiliates. Of course, you'll want to edit it whereby it has your information, not ours. So you would replace our landing page link with yours. You would replace our office phone number with yours, as well as right here. So if you do not have this graphic, if you do not have your landing page, be sure to give us a call after the Zoom and say, hey, where is it at? Because you can become an affiliate. There's no cost, free landing page. Now, to become an affiliate, we would like you to go through the process because that's going to be the best training we could ever provide. And we want you to be a success story. So, how would you do that? You would obviously go to fundingproposal.org, follow the process, and as we've been covering each morning, here are the 3 steps along the way. I'm going to give you a quick overview again on what's in the funding proposal, but I want to spend most of our time today looking at Craigslist. And you may wonder why in the world do we need to look at Craigslist, but I'll explain that in just a moment. So, the problem that you and I solve together is we help entrepreneurs have money to start or grow a business. That's the problem that we're solving. They need money to start or grow a business. You and I have a solution to that. Now, we're not the bank, we're not the lender, but as a 501c3 nonprofit, we've received a grant and we have a process that's guaranteed to get them at least $100,000, could be certainly more, and there's no out of pocket cost to them by using this approach, the free funding proposal approach. So, with it, what we see here on the shared screen is the first thing that we need to do is to get the participant a free funding proposals. In other words, they're going to get funding offers that they can accept those that they want, they can decline those that they don't. How do they get that? Well, they're going to go to your landing page, or if you don't have one, they can come to ours, fundingproposal.org. They're going to put in just 4 pieces of information to get started: first name, last name, email, phone number. And then up on the screen, it's going to bring them the app. Also, it's going to send them a text. And if they respond yes, then it's going to text them a link. So they'll have 2 ways to get to that same one-page application. The application is divided into 2 halves. The top half is business information. Everything on the top half is optional. So if they have any of that, they can fill it in. If they have none of that, it's okay. And then the bottom half is what we call key person, the business owner information. So from that, we're going to be able to get them funding offers, and there's no out of pocket cost by going through the process. That's not a free program. It's not free, but it's like a realtor. Remember the last time you bought a house, you didn't pay the realtor when you signed up with the realtor, but the realtor was paid at closing. So we're paid a performance fee based upon the capital raise, and that's shared with you. They're going to get offers that they can pick from, no hard inquiries, so it's not going to hurt their credit. There are no minimum credit scores, so everyone will get at least one offer. Many people will get many offers. They can accept the offers they want and not accept those they don't. As far as how much they'll receive, it varies. That's why we need to go through the process, but it's very common that people will get over 100,000 in offers. The funding can be as soon as next day, but almost always within a week. It depends on the individual lender. And then this is designed to put working capital in their pocket so they have proper capitalization to go through the entire process. So the average typical client will never have to come up with money out of pocket because of this first tranche. So once we get past that, then we're going to work with them on building the fundability of their business. If they have a business entity that they want built out, we'll do that. If they don't, they can get a shelf corp, and many of you are shelf corp resellers that they could get from. So with that, now our team of attorneys and paralegals are going to work with them to build out legally and ethically a fundable business with no out-of-pocket cost. What does that mean? Well, remember what we've learned. When it comes to business funding, it comes down to the three C's, doesn't it? Credit, collateral, and capacity. So that's what we do, to no surprise. So our attorneys are going to work with them to help them add trade lines under the EIN to build their business credit. We're going to transfer assets over to them to put on their balance sheet to build their collateral. And then we're going to help them liquidate those assets, the accounts receivables, to turn that into daily bank deposits so they have the third C called capacity. So this is kind of the secret sauce. Without this, there's a lot of people that need funding. The goal is to get them funding, but the way that we bridge that is by having a fundable business. Most people don't have that. A lot of people don't even know what it means, but that's what we're doing for them. So with that, then we can get them funding for their project. They can determine the amount. So that's a summarization. What I want to spend some time though on is on Craigslist, but let me give you a little background. So if you believe, which I do, that you and I solve a big problem, and as entrepreneurs, the bigger the problem you solve, typically the more money that you can make. So our goal is to help each client raise at least $1 million. Now, it's up to them. If they don't need $1 million, we're not pushing it on them. If they need more, we can do more. But the goal really from our projections is to work with you in collaboration with you. You're our market outreach, identify clients that need funding and help them each get at least $1 million. By doing that, they're getting the funding to start or grow a business, and you're making right about $50,000 per client. Not bad. But the question often comes up, well, how do I find these people? Sure, almost every small business owner wants money and needs money, but procedurally, practically, how do I find them? Well, I'm going to show you what I believe is one of the best ways to find them, and it's going to be not controversial, but contrarian. It's probably not what you thought of. So we can just go out to the marketplace. There's over 300 million Americans. And if you had some way to connect with 300 million people and let them know what we do, a lot of them would be interested, but that's kind of hard to reach out to 300 million people. So we need a better strategy than reaching out to everyone. One way is to reach out to key influencers. And specifically, we can go to which I'll define what that means and show you here how to do that. But if we could reach out to key influencers and ask them for their declines, ask for them to send the clients to you that they weren't able to get funded. So in other words, we're drawing in a pool of entrepreneurs that are actively looking for funding, but they don't currently qualify. They need help with this middle column. So rather than just marketing out to 300 million Americans, what if we found the middleman, quote unquote, that already has those relationships? So if we go to Craigslist, and you can change it to whatever city you want, it's Houston here, and let's say that we look up business loan on Craigslist and we look it up in services. What happens? Well, we have a bunch of ads of people that are offering to help clients get funding. Now, you might look at this and say, well, that's our competition. And I would argue, no, they're not our competition. These are your referral partners. So we can pick any of these ads. We'll just pick the top one to start with. And let's see what's going on with this ad. So we'll click on it. All right, so what this person is promoting is business term loans from 8,000 up to $250,000, has some specific information, but there's some requirements. So really what you and I want to think about is, what does JCL Capital Solutions, which I don't have a relationship with, I just randomly picked them. Actually, they were at the top of the list. So what does JCL Capital Solutions do when they have applicants that they market to that don't get approved? In other words, they don't meet one of these criteria. It's called their declines. Typically, JCL Capital Solutions and that whole industry just dismisses them. Hey, sorry, can't help you. And they just move on. But what if you could be their safety net? What if JCL Capital Solutions sent you, Charles, or sent you, Carla, or sent you, Amanda, their declines, those people that didn't get approved? Because if they already got approved, their problem is solved. And that's how a lot of times people think these are our competitors. No, 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 no. If you contacted JCL Capital Solutions and asked them, and we'll do a little bit of a role play to prepare you, but if you ask them how many declines they have per month and what they typically do with them, I think you're going to find that there's a pool of people looking for funding that we could help. So let's role play it a bit for a moment. And this isn't refined or perfected, but just to kind of get you more comfortable. So we could do this search, and there's others. We'll look at some other ads, but we could give JCL a call. And here's kind of how I would role play if I were you. But again, you can do it your way. And I'll be Henry May. Henry's on the Zoom, and he's one of our resellers, one of our affiliates. So I could call JCL, ring, ring, phone rings, person picks up, and I could say, hey, my name's Henry May. I'm working with a 501c3 nonprofit. We've got a grant subsidized program to help small businesses that have been declined for funding. Let me ask you, JCL, how many declines do you have in a typical month? Small businesses that come to you, apply for funding, but they don't get approved. And then you hush and you wait for them to respond. You're looking for a number. Now, if that number is sizable, then they have a problem that you can solve. They have a problem in that there's a bunch of their prospects that they can't get funded. Now, if they come back with a very small number, either that's great, or probably they're just not very big, and so it's probably not worth your time. It's up to you what that cutoff is. But let's say they say, oh, 10 to 20 on an average month. So then you follow up and say, okay, well, great. What do you typically do with those applicants that don't get qualified? So you're trying to figure out what their current solution to their problem is. So their problem is some people don't get approved. What are they doing? Most of the time, they do nothing. They don't have an outlet. You want to be the outlet. You want to be the decline, the source for their declines, their rejects, as Henry would say. Now, we're going to have to quickly let them know that there's an economic benefit for them. Otherwise, they're going to just move on. So you would need to decide before you contact them, what is your proposition? So if you're an affiliate, you're making $250 up front from folks that go through step one. And then if you're set up as a reseller, you're making 5 points off of the back end. So what we're not trying to do is we're not trying to recruit them. You're just trying to develop a referral relationship with them. So frankly, you could decide, if you want to share any of the upfront 250, you may or you may not. Do you want to share any of that 5% on the back end? You may or you may not. As far as if you'd ask me my recommendation, I would do a split with them, because they can feed you so much business, you don't have to spend any time marketing. So you could say, hey, just to let you know, I could pay you 2.5 points for everyone that you refer to us or refer to you that gets funded. We guarantee them a minimum of 100,000. So in this case, JCL knows they're going to make at least 20, or they expect to make at least $2,500 for everyone they refer over to you. It may be that the 2.5 points that you're paying them is even more than what they're making from their primary funding solutions. But regardless, that is what you'd want to do, is identify referral partners reach out to them. And quickly, you need to establish why you're contacting them and what's in it for them. And then ultimately, they're going to have some questions, right? Well, Henry, how does that work, right? Because if they got declined already, that's where probably you would want to use this flyer edited with your information to be able to educate them how it works. And these are sharp people, so they'll understand. So let's go look at a couple others. Now, as we're looking at others, what I'd like you to do, invite you to do, is go ahead and type into the Q&A, what questions, concerns do you have about this approach? So if you're an affiliate, you're a distribution partner, you want to help people, you want to make money, but you need more prospects, I'm showing you one of the best ways to get leads with no marketing cost up front, which is to go get the declines, as Henry would say, the rejects from others that are in the industry. So if you can type in questions, comments, concerns, but let's look at some others. So here, this ad, we have a different number. They like texting. And so it looks like you can get up to 700,000. And so what they're offering really doesn't matter. It's not about what they offer, because our proposition, your and my proposition, is to help the people that they can't help. So we're not trying to get them to stop doing what they're doing and send people to you. If that happens, that's fine. But that's not the point. The point you want to have is, how do they help? What do they do with their declines, and could you be a solution for that? So you can see that that is a different proposition there. We can come down to another ad, and let's see. They're providing, it looks like a shelf corp. They're selling some businesses, and wow, they're selling businesses for 20,000 to 50,000. So again, don't get bogged down by what they do. You're not trying to do what they do. What you're trying to do, though, is understand what they do with their rejects, their unsold prospects. So here we can call Wilshire. This is actually a really big group out of California. So you could call them. And then we can, of course, go change locations. Let's say we don't want to do Houston. Let's say that we want to do Dallas, and then we would probably get some overlap, but also, see, we see some of the same ads. Some of these folks are marketing in different markets. But what questions do any of you have? And so again, if you are a referral partner, and if your numbers aren't quite where they need to be, and I don't want to rail on anyone, but I'll just ask a couple of you. Mr. Stockton, Mr. Stockton, your numbers aren't where you want them to be. What's your specific feedback to using this approach, Mr. Stockton? Jeff Walter, you've been around. Your production, no offense, is pretty shitty, not too good. You're not helping people, not making money. Jeff, what do you think about plugging into this model to be able to start helping more people? Mark, you're one of the smartest guys I know. You've been around a long time. You're not generating any volume. Mark, what do you think about picking this up and running with it? So that's my question to each of you. Now, some of you are producing high volume already. The last thing you need is more leads. You're just busy closing deals. But for those of you that don't have high numbers, we should be able to help a client a day on average. And really what you're doing is you're just managing relationships. You have the resource over here by being an affiliate and or a reseller. You have the flow of prospects that are already bottled up. Now, Pauline brings up a good point, so let's do that. Let's pull up a different ad and change the role play a bit. So let's say that Pauline calls I Will Fund It LLC, and she's able to, she knows who to call. It's Ron. She knows Ron's phone number. So in addition to the role play that we had before, what Pauline brought up that I overlooked is that she could also she could ask one additional question, especially if the conversation's going well with, in this case, Ron. Pauline could ask Ron, hey, Ron, let me ask you this. Year to date, if you went back to January 1st up through now, how many declines do you have on your desk or in your files? Because it's not just how many Ron has in the month of November and the next month in December. We could go back to past unsold prospects, and in many cases that could be hundreds, or for some of these groups, thousands of prospects that attempted to get funding before but didn't get approved. So in addition to getting the current flow going forward, which is great. That's the hottest, most recent. We could also work backwards. All right, a couple of you are asking, well, Mark specifically is asking, so how do you get your landing page? Let's go back to that. So to get a free landing page, which we highlighted yesterday, and I can pull it up. It looks like ours, fundingproposal.org. So it'll look like this, but it'll be coded to you. The numerical code is linked to you. How do you get that? How do you get your landing page? Well, what you're going to do is go to fundingproposal.org, fill this out, because what we'd like you to do is to be a participant so you have a personal success story. If you don't want to do that, but you still want to be an affiliate, you could refer one other person to the same place, have them go through it. You'll still get paid the same. But as we just need you to show the ability to bring in at least one person before we spend the time and energy building out landing pages and managing that. So the trigger is you or someone else that you trigger, have them come to fundingproposal.org, fill this out, and as long as they complete step one, then they don't have to go all the way through. So this should be done within a couple days. Then that will trigger your ability to be a live affiliate. Will get you your landing page, and you're open for business. So I think what happened, Mark, is you might have gone to funding proposal, but you've not completed this. And so until you complete step one, phase one, column one, that's not the trigger. It is completing it. Hopefully that helps. All right, Regina has a great question. Do they need to already have a business? No. So it's flexible. That's what I was describing a moment ago. If they already have a business, then we can use it. And if they don't already have a business, then we can still move forward, get them whatever offers they can get on the individual side. And then that would provide you, quote unquote, an upsell opportunity to get them a shelf corp if needed. But no, it's not a prerequisite that they already have a business. All right. And then I see Kenneth has a question. So it goes back to what we're saying. So with the funding proposal, everyone's going to get at least one financing funding offer. Everyone will get at least one. Most people will get multiple, and we've had highlights. We recently have gone through success stories showing you how many offers a number of people have had. If you go to our YouTube channel, you can see we've gone through real clients and how many offers they've had. We've had people that have gotten 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700,000 or more in first tranche. The real goal isn't to go max out first tranche, but the first tranche from the funding proposal based upon their baseline credibility, it's real, it's good. Most people will get multiple cash offers. Even if they don't have a strong file, they're still going to get at least one offer, and then we can move them through the process. That's why this arrow is in the background. They start here, then we do this, then we qualify for this. All right, let's see. Jeff asked, how do we make sure that you're not approaching the same referral sources that someone else is? Well, there really is no assurance of that. Certainly, there's other key terms. Let's look at merchant cash advance. And that's not what we do, right? We're not doing MCAs, but MCAs can be a great source of leads, people that have applied for an MCA that didn't get approved. So let's go down here to Greenhaven Funding. And I believe what they're doing is offering MCAs, which is fine. Again, that's not what we do. It doesn't really matter what they're doing. What you're wanting to do is to get their declines. So don't get so bogged down and so caught up with the fact that, oh, they do the same thing as us, or they do something completely different, or I don't understand what they do. What they do doesn't really matter other than the fact that they're in the business lending marketplace. They're actively advertising and they're most likely going to have declines. So when you speak to them, though, you need to speak with confidence. We did that little role play earlier in the conversation. So they quickly need to know why you're contacting them. You want to provide them a solution for their declines, for their rejects, for their turn downs. So that's what you got to get out there quickly. You need to let them know what's in it for them, that you're going to be able to get them paid 1 point, 2 points, 2.5 points, whatever you want to share with them. And then ask about volume to determine if it's worthwhile or not. All right, so who else has questions regarding this strategy? Because if you are a distribution partner, you should be successful. You should be making a lot of money helping a lot of people. Typically, what we hear are two challenges that some of you have. One of which is many of you are not good salespeople. You're not good closers. Well, with this campaign, we've eliminated that because there's no upfront cost and there's no risk to the client. So the program is ready. Now you need prospects. You need leads to talk to. I see Joe's bringing up a point. Could he run his own ads to drive people in? Sure, sure. So in addition to getting referrals from others, getting their declines, their rejects, that's true. You could also post your own ads and drive people in. So that's fine. Mr. Certain, you can do that as well. And I guess that was kind of implied. Do I think advertising on Craigslist is the best way to get leads? No, we see better performance through ads on Instagram and Meta and other LinkedIn and other places, but those are paid ads. Here, this is very easy to do. But in closing, my message today is not trying to encourage you to go advertise to the end user. It's instead to become a solution to others who are advertising and help them with their rejects. So let's look at one more here. So here we have Bay Funding, and Bay Funding has an alternative where they're trying to get people out of MCA loans. And again, that's not what we do, but I suspect he still has declines, or he or she or they have declines. So the rule is going to apply. Any of these folks that are out advertising most likely have declines. You and I want to be the solution for them for their declines. Okay? Anyone else have questions, comments, concerns? So first step is we need to get you set up. You need to have your landing page. How do you get that? Come yourself to fundingproposal.org, fill out the app, participate yourself, or refer in one other person that participates. And as long as they go through the free funding proposal, it could be you or someone else you send in, then bam, you'll qualify as an affiliate at no cost now, no cost ever. We'll get you your landing page set up and you'll be ready to go. But we want sign of life. You need to bring one person in to show that you're competent, because historically we had a lot of people that wouldn't do anything, but anything free they loved, took up too much of our time. So we'll give you the benefit of the doubt. If you can bring in one person, we assume that you can replicate it. But if you can't bring in one person, then why bother? All right. Well, thanks everyone. We'll see you back tomorrow morning and we'll take it from there. Let us know what we can do to help you. 903-200-8781 if you need to give us a call. Thanks. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.